Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I'm excited to be sharing with you today how I dye my doilies and threads with Inktense and showing you some examples of what I've been dyeing today in the garden. And these pieces are going to be used in an upcoming textile and fibre dimensional natures textures piece, which I'm creating for the Southeast Contemporary Artists Network for an upcoming exhibition which is called Beatlemania, and where we are taking inspiration from Beatles songs, and the song I have selected is Octopus's Garden. And so I want to create this incredible colourful reef with a stumpwork octopus, and I'll be sharing my creation of that with you. And so this is the first stage, which is getting some lovely colours worked out and then using those colours to colour up vintage scraps of lace and doilies, trim, pom-poms. So I'll show you how I've gone through that process. I'll also show you just how I dye my regular crochet cottons and turn those, so I'm just reaching across to where I've got them soaking. I'll be showing you how I dye just a regular white crochet cotton or pearl cotton. And yeah, these ones I've been dyeing today in the garden. So what I'll do first of all is I'll show you what I did first up today, which was to select a colour palette. So I went through with my Inktense blocks, and I've got the large set that's 2 trays worth of these, and I picked colours that I thought might be good for coral, and then I just swatched them on this piece of old sheet. I think it was probably an old pillowcase or something, and then I worked out which of the colours from my collection of Inktense I wanted to use. And what I do is I use these little toothpicks, and I just stick them in between where the foam of the Inktense is and the edge, and then that way it marks which ones I want to use. And it made it very easy when I was then wanting to sort of paint a section. I could just sort of work my way along with the colours that I had actually selected and create these lovely sort of ombre effects, as you can see. So it just makes it easy when you're not trying to remember where in the palette you actually had it. So it's a great little technique. And what I've done now is just taken a photo of the palette so that when I take these little toothpicks out tonight, I'll still be able to remember back and mark them again if I want to paint up some more things, because I'm sure I will end up doing some more pearl cotton. And then this becomes a fun little thing that you can incorporate in projects, either whole or you can cut into it and collage with it. It would be great if you wanted to do some weaving with strips of fabric. It would work really fantastically for that. So do not throw it away, keep it, and don't worry if it gets little splashes like mine did, where it was picking up sort of colours from the tray underneath. Even the underside is actually really pretty. But through this process I worked out there were some colours I didn't want, like that one was too dark for me. The greens, I kind of just picked out which ones most resonated. Likewise the yellows, I was playing around. Some of them look quite similar, so it's possible I did swatch some of the colours twice, but it helped me get to a really colourful palette. As you can see here, I was almost wanting that sort of fluoro-ness, and that's the great thing with the Inktense I've found, and why they are my preferred means for colouring up things, is one, they're so easy to use. 2, once they've been dried and heat set, so I had these out in the sun, they won't transfer off onto other fabric or other things. So, and you can then add further colour over the top, and then it won't actually mix and go to muddy colours either. So it is really, really versatile. So I'll come back and show you an example of colouring, but first of all I'll give you a look at what I have actually coloured up today. So let me start with the pom-pom trim. So this was just a white pom-pom trim with a yellow ribbon through it, and I have done an ombre effect, green into a more greeny blue, into a lighter green. And what I'm thinking for these is I will be putting them probably in little clusters. So I tried to do sort of odd numbers of them, because I do like to have odd number things, and they'll probably be used as little sort of clusters of coral under the sea. And likewise with the others, or some might get sort of spread around, but that gives me plenty of possibilities. And even if I don't use them on this project, they are just super good to have in your stash. Now I'm just going to clip those onto the little rack next to me, because I asked those were still a little bit damp. Likewise with this pink one, I went through the sort of, again, through the different colours, through back into a different pink. So again, that gives me lots and lots of variety. That's so much more interesting than what the plain white was. I actually was going to leave some of it plain white in my little, well, my big box of trims, but I thought no, it's so lovely that I'm just going to keep colouring it up. They'd be cute even as little Easter chickens. Yeah. So it's just going to be so good having this stash of beautiful coloured things. These would even go great on my other piece, my Fleur Woods Frida Kahlo inspired piece. So again, I was just using scraps, like offcuts I had from other projects, and this would have been just probably an old curtain or something. But just by applying these lovely colours to it, it absolutely transforms it and makes these little scraps really precious and so usable for so many different things. Like you could just use that bit of trim on a pouch or a project or something like that. So just hang that up again, just keep it out of the way. This was again just a scrap probably of a tablecloth or a tray mat, and what I've done with these is just painted individual ones in different colours, and I'm thinking ultimately I will probably be wrapping them over either like a bead or over just another colour of fabric, and making these lovely underwater bobbly little bits of coral again, and I think it'll be lovely. And you can even probably put some beads, stitch some beads or something into those little center bits, and it will almost, and even some beading around here. So they're going to be incredibly versatile, and I've got them in all the colours, well, all my selected beautiful bright coral colours. So I'm not even sure if it's coming in. This looks even brighter yellow than it looks on the camera, because it is sort of getting starting to come into dusk here. But I hope you can see just how lovely these colours are. This was again just an offcut, a scrap that I'd kept from the side of something where I'd probably cut out the embroideries. But yeah, just look at those gorgeous colours. This one's got green and yellows, and I just think this is going to make a fabulous, even probably using it almost in its whole. I'm planning this as quite a large scale piece, because the exhibition will be having painters who are working on, I think, a decently sized canvas. So I want it to sort of the piece to sit alongside those and hold its own. Here, yeah, you can just see the beautiful colours. And so this was just, again, I'd obviously already nibbled out of this one previously, and so I just worked around in a sort of an ombre effect. And whether I end up using sort of parts like this, I think even these little edge pieces will look really fantastic. Because you know, the corals that almost sort of, there goes the parrots overhead, and a cockatoo maybe chasing the poor parrots. All the noises in the late afternoon in the garden. So yeah, I think they'll make fabulous coral. And yeah, again, I think with these centerpieces I'll be able to sort of wrap them over something and make lovely little corally mounds, and then possibly have some little things coming out of them. So yeah, really want to play and have fun with this. I mean, even my octopus itself, I haven't worked out. I know how I'm going to do the legs, but the body of it, yeah, could possibly be a doily even as well. So yeah, that's that one. And again, this is giving me lots of ideas for some other projects where I want to use colourful, I think I want to use colourful doilies in. Pop that one over there. Then this one, it was just a lace that was, I think it's like a synthetic lace, so probably not going to use it in a project as it is, but when you colour it up, it just becomes really lovely. And so this one, I actually think I sort of wiped across the various Inktense colours and then just mixed it all together. I'll show you that method when I'm showing you as well, because there's a few methods to get the colour on. Again, another ombre one on a sort of a synthetic, oh, this might be a cotton lace, I'm not sure. And just working through the colours. And so again, I can gather this up to make some of my coral. I think I'll probably make each of the coral elements sort of separately and then bring them together in a whole, because that way I can also sort of balance the colours. Now I had some of this doll's hair in my stash in my trim container, and so I coloured some of it up green. I thought I'd just do a small quantity and see what I think of it, but I think it could come in handy in the piece, because you do get sort of seaweeds and things that look like that, and I did some in this pinky colour as well, so it's come out beautiful and vibrant, hasn't it? And then this one that we were looking at before, and I think I just did a slightly different colour in the centre, not sure why I did that. But again, I think, yeah, these bits around the edge could be particularly good to make some coral. And it's just such a great way to repurpose sort of, yeah, scraps of things and give them an entirely new, exciting life. So this is just the end of a table runner. Again, I did one edge, which I can kind of then use like that. And then I've got all these shapes that, again, I can put around beads or use them, yeah, in a variety of ways. Like even these little circle ones you can fold up and make a little seaweedy shape as well. And these ones also have the smaller ones, which I can wrap around smaller beads also. So very versatile, and again, it's just got that ombre effect. And you can just see they don't bleed too much into each other. They'll sort of just blend into each other, but not end up really murky like you would get with some colours or some dyes if you sort of mix them up. This is just a little trim that, again, I've just graduated through the colours to give me lots of variety when I'm wanting to put together my piece. You'll have to excuse my nails being so brown. That is from the colouring. I probably should wear gloves. I'll just give them a scrub tonight and it will come off just fine. But seeing I was going to do some colouring with you, I thought no point trying to do the scrub first. And again, this is, I think, just a vintage lace of some sort, but I think it's probably a synthetic. It feels synthetic to me. But yeah, it's come out a beautiful sort of coral peachy colour. And so again, whether that gets used in this project or in something else, the colour has just given it a whole new lease on life. So here's a scrappy bit of this, which again I've just ombreed through some of the pinks and peachy corally colours. And this is a lovely, I can feel the mosquitoes. I think they're already trying to come out and eat outside, trying to have a nibble of me. So there's that one, and then this one, which is just a more basic green. Got this one, looks lovely, and a blue with just some greeny hints that I put around. So again, that can be used whole or chopped up. And then these lovely Brits of fringing, which were just a very plain sort of off-white, but haven't they come out beautifully? And I just think they're going to give that real sense of under the water. They'll give the piece some real movement, even if I'm kind of tacking them down the bottom of the piece, or possibly having them around the edges so that they can just sort of hang a bit and yeah, just give that real sense of seaweed moving in the water. And so then I've got this one that goes through pinks, and then this one that starts with yellows, through oranges, through pinks, and then into others. So I just love these. I think they're going to be fabulous. And even these individual little strands, they'd be great if you wanted to wrap them around something or couch them down. So, and then there are some others drying on my rack, but they're a bit damp at the moment. So what I'll show you now is how I dye them. Let me get rid of my dirty water. Just put that out on the grass, and I'll get myself a glass of clean water out of my soaking container. So what I have is just a glass and one of these paintbrushes, but you can use whatever you want. I put whatever I'm wanting to dye into a tub of water. So I just let it sort of soak and get nice and wet, because for the Inktense to work properly, you want to have your thing really, well, if you're using it to dye in this purpose, you want your whatever you're dyeing to be nice and wet so that the colours will sort of fully transfer through. So what I'll show you first up is how, and I've done this in another video, but some folks won't have seen it before. I'll show you how I dye my thread. So what I've done is just taken some regular crochet cotton, which was just a vintage Anchor Pearl Cotton 8, and I have wound it round my hand down to my elbow so that I got a long piece, and then I've twisted it at either end and twisted it into this little hank or skein. And what I'm then going to do is create some colour. So I'll start by putting some colour down this end, and I like to get a good amount of sort of moisture into it and give it a little squish also, so that the moisture sort of travels through it. You don't want any like residue left on it, so you do want to make sure it is all sort of damp and soggy. And then I'll get some of the orange and I'll sort of blend that back into that area of the yellow. And again, I'll give it a squeeze and just make sure it is distributing all the way through. And then we'll come down and get an even brighter, some of that lovely corally orangey coloured. I love how vibrant this one is. Sorry if the camera's bumping a bit, if I'm bumping the table. It's the hazard of filming outside. But as I say, it's been such a lovely day. It's only now that it's starting to get darker, and yeah, the mozzies, the little biters have come out. And then we'll put some bright red on, because that will be just so lovely to be able to use when I come to do some of the stitched elements. So look at that, a rainbow, really, not a rainbow, a sunset. So again, with these, I just give that little push, and I don't even mind if I get a bit of the colours sort of blending down the piece. And then I'll put that to dry on my drying rack over here that's next to me. And what I then do is keep a piece on my table. Just again, this is a piece of the same one that I did the sampling on, and I use that to mop up my surface. And then at the end, I'm going to have this really interestingly coloured piece of fabric to use for something else. So we can do another piece of the yarn. Let me just do that, and we might do this in the greeny colours, greeny blues. So again, give it a squeeze and let it sort of all really meld into the piece, because you just don't want any bits that are going to come off when you're stitching with it. You don't want to have any bits that haven't been activated by the water, and that's the key with the Inktense, to make sure that everything is activated, but you also want to get the colour all the way through where your yarn is. And then we'll come down and do the one next to it. It's got a bit of difference in colour. It's got a bit more of the greeniness in it. And so again, just add a bit more moisture to it. Give it a little good sort of roll around. And then we'll come down, might go down to that next colour down, which is a bit more green. So again, giving it a good squeeze and just letting it, make sure it's fully activated and fully distributed through the cotton. And you just want to look into your cotton periodically and make sure that it has all coloured up. And then we'll come down here to this one, which is definitely greener again. Just checking that we're getting all the way through, yep. And then I think I want to, actually I wasn't even using that colour, but that's okay. We'll use that for a change. That wasn't even one of the ones that I'd marked out to use, but that's all right. I actually wanted to get a bit more of the lighter one. So we can actually, with the Inktense, you can also mix two colours together, but they will, when they're activated like this and not yet dried, they will mix together at this point. It's only once they've been activated and then fully dried that you can layer them up and they won't sort of reactivate and mix. But at this stage you can mix different colours. So if you do get a smaller set of Inktense, you can mix your own colours. So there's that one. Put that to dry. So I've only done 2 hanks of the yarn, but I do want to show you how I dye my doilies and things. So again, I'll just pull something out of my container over here. Thought these shapes, they kind of hold their shape really well. Like you can see they're quite sort of not stiff, but they're quite tightly done. A peg just came jumping off of the line there, and so I can just put some colours on. So what I might do with these is plan to use some of the separate components. So I might do like this inner circle in this pinky colour. And so yeah, by having it wet before you put the paint on, it will just help the paint to properly sort of distribute around. And I might even bring in one of these brighter reds as well, just to give it a bit of lift. And I really do like this sort of corally, which looks orange in the palette, but it comes out and just gives it a really lovely coral. So you can see here, like when it is still wet, it will all sort of nicely mix together. So again, I just make sure it's gone through well to the back, which it has. And then I might use my cloth to pick up that bit of colour. And then, as you can see, it's already spread sort of across that way, but that doesn't worry me too much. I think I'll then come in and put some orangey. I might do some sections up here with different colours, just to give me a bit of different options when I come to use it. So I can use this middle section for one thing. Might put some green over here. Travis has come out for a looky around. And so that will give me a nice green section to be able to use. And then I might do another colour over here. I might do that sort of bluey green. And then she'll just do a quick mopping again. And down here, let's do some pinky coloured, a brighter pinky purple. Let's go for a blue over here. So yeah, from one doily, if you choose to kind of do it like this, and if you're planning to then either cut it out or maybe use it in its whole form like this, you can get a lot of, oh no, I've already done that colour, haven't I? What one do I want? Do I still want to do maybe a good different green? Oh yeah, that's a nice green. Yeah, you can get a lot of versatility out of just one doily, and it just transforms something that, I mean, is beautiful in its own right, and someone has done some lovely stitching to create this. Or is this one a tat? I think this one's tatting. It's almost like sort of, yeah, weaving in some sections. So there you go, that is a beautiful, beautiful piece. I'll just hang it over the rack and I'll mop up this. When you're mopping, you can just do it the way I was, or you can use it to kind of soak up so you get some lovely little bubbles of colour as well. And then mop the rest. So that's going to give some really nice little interesting colour bursts. What else? Let's just see what else we've got in here that might be fun to do. Oh, I thought this one might be good. Let me just squeeze it out so we don't drip everywhere. So these petally bits I thought could be pretty cool to be able to use individually. So let's get some of these colouring up. So this could become like a little flower again. Well, not a flower, but a little seaweedy structure. Let's see how the colour's going through to the back. Pretty good. Let's get some of these lovely brighter greens. I've only found one thing today that hasn't coloured up, and it was, I think it must have some coating on it, but generally I find things colour pretty well with this, with the Inktense. So yeah, I'll create some more of these because I think these could just be little standalone bits of seaweed. It'd be good to have a good amount of anything I create. I want enough to sort of be able to make a bit of a cluster, if that makes sense. Like, you know, in nature things cluster in places. It's something Fleur Wood often talks about when she's, yeah, sort of teaching her nature's textiles. Nature's textures, actually, I should say. Make a few more of those ones. It's a lovely green. Oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing down there, can you? Sometimes I forget which bit of the palette I've been taking from, especially if I've got two colours on the go at once. You can see where the wet brush has been, but you can't always remember exactly which colour you were using. And then for this edge piece, I might do a bit of the yellow, the beautiful sort of yellowy colour. In the palette this looks more yellowy green, but it actually comes out just more of a beautiful bright yellow. And as I say, I don't worry if I get a bit of transference of like the blue coming in where I've got the yellow. And with something like this, I will want to give it just a little bit of a squish just to make sure the colour is getting fully activated by the water, and it does just help to sort of then transfer it around a little bit. And it doesn't matter at all that that nice bluey colour has come back up into there, because I think that's also going to give it some lovely colour. And so maybe down this edge here I will do some nice bright orangey coloured loveliness. And some more reddy colour. I took Travis to the park before and I had about I think 5 golden retrievers trying to wrestle on top of me. I think they actually wanted Travis's treats. Let's just soak that up. So I feel like I've been covered in doggy slobber, but that's okay. It's one of the things that happens at the park. What happens at the park stays at the park. So I do really like this colour too, this almost fuchsia colour up here. And then maybe I'll keep doing that. Yeah, maybe I will. Be good to have a good quantity of it then, even if I don't use it in this project. I've got then, because I might make a miniature version, as I'm going to make the large scale one for the exhibition. I might try making a little miniature brooch as well, which I'll show to you, because I know some of you want to make some nature's textures sort of wearables. So I can definitely do that. Now let's make that same colour we were doing before. There. And then let's do some other greens in here. So I can even intersperse the two greens when I'm sort of putting the pieces together. But don't worry, I'll share the process with you. It's experimental on my behalf. So when we did the Fleurwoods workshop, people could paint theirs after they kind of added stitching and other things to it, but this will be starting with painted pieces. So I'm really enjoying kind of stretching myself and doing things that I haven't done before. Maybe I'll do some orangey. Well, that's almost more of a yellowy. The light is starting to fade, so this might be my last piece, but hopefully it's giving you enough of a sort of understanding of. But again, I would just say sort of, yeah, play if you are doing these sorts of things. The crickets are starting up as well, so it's like, nope, it's like all signs are saying out of the garden. Christine, you've had your play. Nature is ready to take it over between the mosquitoes and the crickets. So I'll just get this one done, and then we'll just put some colour around the side, which I think might be nice to do a blue. Let's maybe even do the lighter blue. Might be beautiful. Still got the centre to do as well. Just get the blue done down here. Again, just give it a little squeeze to make sure the colour is sort of fully activating and fully going through. Yep. And then do a little moppy, soppy up. And for our centre, what do we want to do for our centre here? I think I actually want to use this one. I do love that more corally colour. I do actually love a bit of that pinkiness too. So let's bring a few different colours in. So you can really sort of go to town with these things. You don't have to stick to one colour. Just be aware if you did put like a blue with the orangey colour while it's still activated and not yet dried, you will get a bit of that sort of more darker, murkier sort of colours. Like you can even see where a bit of the blue has come in there. But then I'm just thinking I might just add a bit of yellow highlights too, just to brighten it up. Okay, so that is how that one looks. There's probably still a little bit of colour to add in here. I'll just make that bit a bit yellowy coloured and do the same up here. And that is our piece. So I'll put that one to drip dry as well. And I'll then soak up the surface. So I'm just using a old plastic sort of chopping board underneath, and I'll be giving the table a clean afterwards. I'll put this one to dry as well. And so yeah, I hope you've enjoyed seeing that little demo of how I dye my pieces. This one took, oops, I'm almost about to knock over my cup. And yeah, I hope you're inspired to create some of your own beautiful, colourful dyed pieces like these ones. And let me know if you're going to give it a go, and if you're interested in following along and creating your own octopus's garden. I just love to share the inspiration, or you might want to create your own coral reef. Yeah, let me know, and I look forward to chatting to you soon. Bye everyone.